All right. That was pretty sweet. What's up?
Thank you.
What's up, folks? We have Scott Snyder, our senior audio designer here, and we'll be answering some of your questions that you have on the forums during this show about audio for the game and soundtrack, and maybe we'll play another guitar piece.
Yeah, thanks for the hysterical clapping.
Yes.
I assume that was for me, and if not, I'll just take it.
But yeah, well, should be a fun stream. I am looking forward to asking Scott a lot of questions about the game in terms of audio, and I'm gonna go ahead and close this door behind us, and then I'm gonna let
the riffraff.
I'm gonna let you
out.
Introduce yourself while I do that.
I am Scott Snyder. I am the senior. I guess I'm the senior audio because I'm the only one. That makes me senior. I boss myself around. Let's see. What do you want to know? I started out playing garage rock and roll and recording on a TAC 4-track with carpet on the walls and sweating a lot. And then went to Freebird. No, we don't do Freebird. Sorry. Thanks, but we'll get back to you. Then went in the Army and spent 10 years in the Army as a broadcast journalist doing audio and production work, and it was a giant worldwide military network, Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the last part of that I worked at the big satellite link up. We had like 10 those giant satellite dishes, and we recorded everything, and I edited television basically to be sent overseas, so I did that for quite a while. And then after that I went back to school, and I ended up with a master's degree in sound design from the University of Illinois. And somebody asked me in there somewhere how I got into this gig, and actually I have to say it was almost by accident. I was all set to start doing some theater stuff and touring, and I had a friend of mine who was IT tech at IBM, or working for IBM, and I'd been a BBS sysop and all that, and so he basically invited me to come join his team in California. So I was already packing up everything, getting ready to go, when the phone call came from a friend of mine, Paul Quinn, who may or may not be out there. Hey, Paul. He called and said, well, our sound guy just left, like last week, and so you should, like, put in send me your resume, and I'll make sure it gets in front of HR. And like, sure, okay. So I put that in, and I didn't hear anything right away, and then continued to get ready to go. And really, we were like 2 weeks out of like hitting the road, and then the phone call came in, and they go, yeah, we're going to hire you. And then I went to, that was Accolade. It was the mighty Triangle building in San Jose, where I worked for Accolade and shipped lots of units of Test Drive and Test Drive Off-Road. We worked on Test Drive Cycles. I did Slave Zero, which was a fantastic game, kind of ahead of its time, and Redline, and I can't even count them all. Lots. That was way fun. That was way fun.
Sweet.
Fireskin.
There is Scott's intro. Let's go ahead and go over to the thread on the forums. This, guys, don't have your questions there. This is where I'll be directly asking Scott questions. He'll be reading the chat. So if he sees any things that he wants to interject and kind of answer, he can do that on the fly. But you guys know the drill for some of you guys that have watched these in the past. So we have Evil Pineapple. He wants you to go to QuakeCon so he can get a blurry picture.
So he can get a non-blurry picture. Well, I look blurry kind of all the time, so if you have a blurry picture, it may just be fine. It may just be me, not you. But yeah, I'll go to QuakeCon. I don't know. That's not really up to me, but probably up to him. So just pester him and Ty to death about it and say, you've got to bring that guy to QuakeCon. And I'll go. I think it'd be great.
Okay. If I remember correctly, Pineapple was from Houston, so...
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's pretty close.
All right.
Walrus has some questions. Why are 4 out of the 12 Loadout soundtracks not in the menus? Namely, Money Shot, Bullseye, Payload, and Sunday Afternoon Militia.
That's a good question. We made a bunch of tracks. Some of them went into the menu. Some of them went into the taco truck radio that's in weapon crafting.
Weapon crafting.
And then there's like 2 channels on the for those of you who don't know, if you shoot the
Easter egg.
Yeah, if you shoot the taco truck, it switches to a new channel. And there's a whole bunch of cool stuff on the other channel too that isn't in the menu. And then there's some now, but there's going to be some, I want to call them radios. They're like radios in the levels, hidden around in the levels. And you can, which will have, the Venus News Report and music on it and stuff. So we made a bunch of music to use in a bunch of different places. And then so some of them may not have made it into the menu just because we felt like we had enough or something.
Right.
They are randomly chosen, so it could be, I'd have to go look specifically, but it could be that they're there and they just didn't play or something.
Okay.
But I would have to go check the assets and see what's set up to play where. We got a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But I think they are all on the media page. I think everything's
on the media page. It is.
Yeah.
How did you join ER as an audio designer?
Well, why? Because that's what I do. And I've been doing it a long time. Like I said, Accolade was 98. So I talked with several people I knew in Austin, and then I hooked up with Stan, who was the audio guy here at that time, and we did the interview thing and hit it off well, and I liked the company, and then that was it. I mean, it was pretty much it was good because I had been unemployed for about a year before that.
Okay.
And I'd been working for myself and doing some stuff, but it's rough.
Right.
So it was nice to get a regular gig, and I've been here now 7 years. So.
Loadout gripes back at 80s themes things. To what extent do you try to incorporate that in the sound?
That's exactly what we're doing, is incorporating. That's what we were really trying to go for. Kind of an 80s action movie vibe, but we also wanted to sort of modernize it so it wasn't completely retro.
Right.
So it's got this kind of raw guitar with the synth elements and all that stuff in it, and that's really what we were trying to do, like a modern take on that 80s action thing. That's really was our goal, so you got it right.
Next
Someone says, really loved your Green Blues tune for the Hulk game. Yeah, those of you who haven't seen it, look up Green Blues on YouTube. That's all I'll say about that.
Can you give us a preview on the cryo audio?
It sounds like ice. A preview. Well, I don't know what you mean by that. It's going to be like cracking, it's going to be like massive cracking chunks. Depending on how you create it, you can make these big, massive, like icebergs of ice that sort of sit there and then they slowly melt away, or there's these little ones that pop up. And so we're trying to make that feel really powerful and give it weight. One of the things audio does for a video game is gives things like that weight. Right. You take out the audio and everything looks like it's sort of floating. So you give it those sounds and it gives it weight. And so so I want to make sure it has the right amount of weight, and since you can walk on it, I want to make sure it sounds right when you're standing on it and everything. So we're sort of in the middle of working on all that. Right now, all the ice on my machine looks black, so we're trying to fix that first.
If there'd be a kill announcer / commentator, how would you fill it
there
in?
Kind of is. Amy is our, we call her Amy, the voice of the.
When she's like hammer capture.
Yeah, you scored a point, or
right.
or whatever. That's Amy. So I probably continue to use that unless we in design decided to come up with a different voice for that. But she's pretty much the in-game commenting on what you're doing voice. So I probably use her unless there was a really good reason to use somebody else.
So what if we hooked up headshots? Would she say headshot? Would she say it really like? Would it be elegant?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Thank you. Amy is a TTS voice, which we licensed from Ivona, which has since been bought by Amazon. So we got it in under the wire. And so I use that voice, and then I wrote my own kind of voice tool that will take script things in from a spreadsheet and then create files. But I put in all this tagging, so I basically go in. I don't just type it in and let her say it. I type it in and I tweak the heck out of it.
Okay.
And I can make her pronounce things, because some of the words we use, like plutonium, she has no. I mean, that word doesn't exist in the dictionary. Right. She doesn't even know what that is. So there is some, and part of that also was my design was these are sort of abandoned automated facilities. And what I wanted was the sound of something that was futuristic enough, so it's near future realistic, but it hasn't gone all the way over into natural sounding human voice talking to you. You know, it's not the Starship Enterprise. So it still has a little bit of that computer. It's not perfect, but it still sounds really good, right? So that was the whole idea for that.
So you mentioned plutonium. Could you walk us through how you would make her say plutonium?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can create. It's like this thing called. There's this tag. It looks like HTML tag that would say, pronounce, and then you would give her actual phonemes of, like, here's what the word looks like, and here are the actual phonemes that make up that word, and then she'll know, oh, when I see this word, I say this. Another way is the way I always try first is to basically just spell it wrong, so that her algorithm will know what it's supposed to be and then say it right. So a lot of times the spellings in the script are all wacky, because I have to get her to say it right, and not just say it right, but say it with the right emphasis. And that's sometimes the hardest part, is getting her emphasis on the right syllable, because she'll tend to, whatever her algorithm is, she'll tend to want to put the emphasis in the wrong place and stuff. In a couple places I had to actually edit things together, but for the most part I can tweak it enough to make her say it, and then it's all saved in a spreadsheet, so if I need to generate it again, I just push a button and it goes.
Yes. If your life had a soundtrack, which song would it be?
Oh dear. Only one? I only get one?
Well, no, yeah, only one.
Holy moly. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's Code Monkey, as Stairway to Heaven. No, absolutely not Stairway to Heaven. Arctic, have no idea what he is talking about. Freebird. Stop it, you guys. How about BitTorrent of Love? No, that's a song I wrote. It's interesting. For a long time, it would have been something like Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. I was really big into Crosby, Stills and Nash, and the way their production, and the way they layered the three of them to sound like so many more of them, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. My music collection is very eclectic. I have music from all over everything, and classical, and what people might call ethnic or world music, and I spent 3 years in Korea, and I've got stuff from that. Really? Yeah, and I just like the way different cultures put tunes together. Most everybody, Korea and in some places in the Orient, they don't use the tempered scale, which I find to be really interesting. But for most places, for their popular music, are using the tempered scale. So you've got 12 notes, and it's just really interesting to me how different cultures can put those same 12 notes together and end up with something very like distinctive too. It's like that came from, you know, listen to reggae or something, right?
Right.
And you're
you
like,
know where that's from.
I know exactly. They're using the same notes that we're using. They're just, you know, the rhythms are different, and the whole feel of it, the whole groove of it is different, and I just really dig that.
Walrus also says, I also have to say the soundtracks are awesome, and I'm loving the in-game sounds too. Keep it up.
Yeah, tell my supervisor. Thanks.
All right, so the next one is from Comrade Black.
CCR.
He has quite a bit of questions here. I think we just answered his first one a bit ago when you said about Amy. How is the announcer lady's voice generated? Does she actually have multilingual capabilities?
That's yes and no. There's a couple different ways to do that. Yes, there are generally with TTS voices, when you want a language, they have to create the voice and the voice dictionary for that language. They don't really go back and forth really well.
Right.
But with pronunciations, you could take her, and with a pronunciation of how this is supposed to be pronounced, you could make her
artificially
pronounce it that way. But it wouldn't be the same as it just being typing the words in another language and having her say them that way. Normally, if we were going to do that, then we would have a different voice that was that language, that we would just put that language in, and then it would, you know, it would understand Cyrillic or would understand whatever.
Right. Would it be possible to make a fan-made announcer pack for use in-game?
That would be, well, everything's possible. It's all ones and zeros. But it would be difficult. Yes, Cody Trenome. Yes, it would be kind of like that. There would be mispronunciations. That's absolutely correct. The problem with the fan-made voice pack, which I actually like the idea of, but we don't just play back WAV files. We have our own like proprietary file format, and it's all in these big packages, so it all have to be brought in and then put into our tool and create it into, you know, a sound event node with all of its settings and everything, and make sure each file went into the right node and the right thing, and we had to put a different switch on it. It wouldn't be anything that that a fan could just create a pack and drop it in. We'd have to rethink how we implemented that whole thing if we wanted to enable that. And I don't see that in the near future.
Yeah.
Although I think it's a good idea. It's something that maybe we could do a contest for, and people can send in their files, and if we like them, we can put them in or something.
You guys heard it.
I'd be all right. Send them in. Send them to me.
What facilities do you have at EOR for audio?
I actually have really nice facilities here. When we moved from the original building we were in to here, this was a brand new building, so we got to sort of design the interior of it, and I was heavily involved in how the audio rooms should be. We didn't get everything we wanted, but we got a lot of it. So we have our own air conditioning, which we can turn on or off, or control. Every room, even a small room, has an in and an out, so it doesn't have to push so much air, which means the air conditioning noise is very, very low. You can see some of it here. We treated the walls. I have 4 offices back here, 4 sound rooms.
Can we take one of these off?
Yeah. They just hang on the wall. We custom ordered them. They should lift up. They should just lift up. Nope.
Let's see.
Hold on. Technical difficulties here. What was this? Oh. This one was not attached the way the other ones were attached. There we go. Like this.
Yes.
See?
There's
Big,
a sound
thick.
pad.
And it's really designed to keep... Now we can't put it back up.
Yeah,
I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Really designed to stop standing waves and control the sound inside here, not really designed to keep sounds from outside coming in. We still hear the elevator and we still hear things like that. You can't do it. It's very difficult to do stuff about that. You know, elevator is attached to the whole foundation of the building and it makes the whole thing rattle, and so you get all those sounds that come in. But we do have a booth. We have a dedicated booth. We have a really nice Mojave tube mic, and you know, it's we've got a really good mic chain and great rooms, and we can do just about anything here. We've done Foley in here, and we've done all kinds of stuff. Hello, Marie. I see Marie said hello to me, so I have to say hello back. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the viability or importance of audio-based programming languages such as Max, MSP, is it Super Collider, etc.?
Faust would probably go in there. I think they are great. I love Max. I don't have a copy of it for work, but I really do like it. I know Ableton, the new version of Ableton, allows you to actually create things in Max that then get sucked into Ableton, so you can actually use it all in one big. You can create stuff in Max that you can then sort of plug in. I think Max especially, and those kinds of things, are good for fast prototyping. So I use I use PD just because I started using PD a long time ago, and I just know how it works. And so PD is pure data. It's basically a GPL version of well, it's kind of like Max. I mean, it's boxes and wires, but it's expandable and it's community supported for the most part. And so I use that for like fast prototyping of things. Unfortunately, our audio engine doesn't really have the ability yet to plug in effects and stuff. Like we just haven't set it. It's just not architected so that we can like create an effect over here and then plug it in. We're kind of stuck in, you know, with what we've got. And I'd like to change that in the future because there are a lot of things I would like to be doing that I can't do right now. But that's what that, but I like all of those things. Any tool, although those things are all tools, and if your idea needs to be expressed and you need a tool like that to express your idea, then I'm all for it, you know.
Yep. How did you bridge the gap between producing standard digital audio and producing audio for games?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know whoever wrote this. I don't know what you see as the difference between
Comrade Black.
Digital audio. Mr. Black, are you here? Yes, you are.
Yes, he is. He's
so I'm not sure what you mean by the difference. What do you mean by the difference between? Because everything we do here is, I mean, ultimately it's all digital audio. I'm not sure what you mean by that, unless you mean like sound effects, or okay, so you mean like the difference between creating a music track and creating sound effects that play back in the game. I would say that those are inherently different. Those two things are inherently different, mainly because music is linear, and sound effects in the game are completely non-linear. You have no idea when they're. I mean, you have an idea of what's going to happen, sort of the way people are going to do things, but you don't know when. I mean, everybody could fire a fire rocket at the same time. You have 8 of them in the air that all hit the ground at the same time.
Like a fire rocket, machine gun.
Yeah, or it could be one of everything, right? It could be any. You have no idea, and so mixing the sounds for that becomes more difficult because you're trying to put things in groups so that you can control, like, okay, these kinds of things and these kind of things. But it really is difficult, and you've got to have. I mean, for sound effects, you got to deal with variations because you don't want to hear the same things over and over again, and someone pointed out like weapon crafting makes this particular game weapon sounds even more complicated because as you start adding different things, you change the nature of the weapon almost completely from what it was. So, for instance, one of the biggest ones was on the rocket launcher. So you can have a rocket launcher and they all shoot out, unless you pick a payload. What is it? Not the payload, delivery that is lobbed. Well, now it's not a rocket launcher anymore. Now it's a grenade launcher, right? So you've got to be able to tag all those things and say, oh, so when I fired that, it can't go. So it doesn't. When you have lobbed, it goes bloop, like a big grenade launcher, and that was. So we've had to deal that with the sniper barrel, and obviously payloads and chassis are the biggest ones. But then we also found things like the sniper barrel and some of the delivery types. They're just like scuttle is a bit different, and there's so many variations that trying to keep a handle on every possible combination of things is like crazy.
Maddening.
Mathematically impossible, but crazy.
Let's see here. I think that kind of goes into what you just talked about. His next question is, what are the primary challenges when working with the game's audio engine? So we'll just
and audio engines, when you're dealing with how audio works in an audio engine, you're dealing with what's the capabilities of your low-level engine. That's one. What are the capabilities of your high-level, like the game-level engine? Like what kind of parameters can I hack? What kind of things can I tell it to do? Be louder when this happens. What kind of contextual information can I feed into it? Only play this if I'm the local player. Don't play this if I'm somebody else, so that you can differentiate things. And memory constraints and performance. How many something that people don't think about. How many decompresses in one frame can you do? And on different platforms, we're not on a different platform yet, but when we do, that's going to be one of the big things, like how many can you do, and because it all affects performance, and we want to make sure it's accessible to as many people as possible.
Let's see here. Are there any plans to integrate a dynamic music system into loadout matches?
There is no plans at this time to do that, and I can say partly is because the audio in Loadout is so chaotic. The game is very fast, and there's stuff happening all the time. And if we then put some kind of music that plays underneath all of that, you're sacrificing the clarity on the things you need to hear in order to play the game. Like that shot came from over there, or someone's shooting at me and it's going by, or otherwise we have to sacrifice all the dynamic range, and then everything just sounds loud all the time, and it's not a very good experience. So that was a choice that we made early on, to not play music during the game. So
will the Turd Buddy ever get a voice?
I think it should have a voice.
Yes, I would like to have it. I would like it to have a voice.
Yeah, what should it say?
I
want to be your friend. Come play with me.
I was thinking something like a beep boop, like a
like an R2D2
like
kind of thing.
R2D2.
Like whenever it does a different thing, or when it aims.
Like when it's looking.
Because right now it just goes.
Yeah.
It does that. I can give it a voice. That's a good idea. Okay.
Beep boop, beep boop. Yeah.
Done.
There we go. Has a voice.
There you go. Thanks, guys.
What do you spend most of your time doing on a day-to-day basis?
Most of my time, I don't know. I go to a lot of meetings.
Yeah. Here's a funny thing though. Before we got started, Scott was saying how he wants to do more of these, because Scott, because of the audio room, like there's basically limited interaction with people.
I'm the mushroom. They keep me in the dark.
I have to walk across the building, and then I go into another hallway, and then there's like 4 independent rooms, all with doors. And you can't hear anything once you get in here. It's like
he's in one of them.
Sound
the stream.
vortex.
We converted one of our rooms, one of the audio rooms, into the stream room. So he's in one of my rooms here.
So I can only imagine what it's like day to day.
Well, and different. I mean, it's really interesting because every day is a little bit different. Sometimes I'll sit back there all day and literally I won't see anyone. I mean, no one. There's nothing going on. I mean, there's no fires. Nobody's running back saying, "Oh my God, the audio's all broken." You know, and I'm working on tuning, or I'm working on ice, or I'm working on. Well, I know the next thing is. You know, we're working on the next level, so I'm looking at that and figuring out what's going to go in there and how we're going to make those things work. And I'm constantly going back over stuff that's already done to just make sure it's still working. And because you know, we've been working on this game a long time.
Yeah,
and there's stuff in there from way back when there was 5 people working on it. You know, and some of that stuff, you know, you get past it and you think you figure, well, that's done, and so I didn't. You don't worry about it. Now when I have time, I got to go back and go, yeah, that wasn't so good. Yeah. We better do something about that. It's not working so good. In different situations and things, you know. So making the gun sound powerful enough, but not overwhelming everything else that's going on in the game, and you know, that kind of stuff. Okay. So there's a lot of, and I'm still writing music.
Taunts, yeah.
I'm still writing music, and well, for taunts, and then just for the radio. And right now, I'm writing what I hope will be the credits song. So
because the credits when it pops up,
actual it's going to be like if you do go see Green Blues, that was the song that I wrote to be the credit song for The Incredible Hulk, which it was late and it didn't get in for lots of reasons. But so I'm going to do another song like that for Loadout, and hopefully that'll get in this time.
Yeah.
Rumble Child, that's the name of the band, Rumble Child. Don't forget that.
How did you go about designing the sound of Loadout's weapons? Samples, Foley work, or synthesis?
Yes, all of the above. I'm a big fan of, well, there's a couple of things. One, don't reinvent the wheel. If a sound exists and it's been recorded well, then use it. Foley sounds are to me, all sounds are elements. The way the sounds work in Loadout is there are lots of primitives, right? So they're like little sound primitives,
right?
Little pieces. They're not a whole. They don't make a whole thing by themselves. They're little pieces or frequency elements or shaped noise or something, and then you layer them together. And we're doing all the layering together dynamically in the game, so the sounds aren't pre-rendered as a fire gunshot. It's all the elements that make up a fire gunshot playing, and it means that I can then randomize internal layers of that sound rather than the whole sound. So rather than just being 5 versions of that sound, there's 50 versions of that sound because of all the different combinations of the internals, how they shift around.
Okay.
So
like pyro, for example, would sound different if you put it on a different weapon, for example.
Right, and that's exactly right. Because pyro there's the pyro bullet sound. And it actually sounds different if it's single shot, if it's auto, if it's spread. Because that's one of those things we said before. Like, you change the barrel to a spread barrel, it's not really a bullet weapon anymore. It's a shotgun.
Right.
So now it has to sound like a shotgun. But everything about it's the same except for the barrel.
Right.
So we changed it based on the barrel, and now it should sound. I mean, the goal is that it sounds more like what you would expect it to sound like as a shotgun with the fire element in it.
Right.
Yeah. But we want the shotguns to still sound like shotguns. Like, no matter what your payload is, it should still sound like a shotgun. So we're mixing and matching a bunch of stuff. It keeps my RAM use really low, which is a good thing.
Let's see here.
Can we move on to other people's questions and come back if we have time? Are we running out of time?
No, we're good on time for right now based on the questions in the thread. I will skip over Conrad for a little bit and then come back. Well, I'll go to Beta Angel.
No offense, Conrad.
Who asked, as the game is enhanced by 80s action film theme, are there any song, band sounds from that period that just scream, "Use me," when you're designing?
Wow. Songs, bands, or sounds. There are, I guess that, yes, but not like Needle Drop. Like you know, we want to evoke that sort of feeling.
Right.
So you go back and watch those 80s action flicks, and you kind of want the feeling of that as much as you can within the limitations and necessities of your engine. I mean, I can go back and watch Rambo and say, wow, that machine gun is really awesome, but that doesn't work completely in our game, because that machine gun in one instant can just switch into something else, you know. And so since you're not like, I can't make a million sounds for every possible combination, which I guess would be ideal, but that is nuts.
That's not practical.
Yeah.
That's
I need to go home once in a while.
Follow up, how many times a day does Duran Vega prod you to figure out how to work the chorus from Duran
the
Duran's?
chauffeur? So far, no times, but feel free to do that. That's all right.
More follow-up. Have you played Far Cry Blood Dragon and or seen the film Hobo with a Shotgun?
Hobo with a Shotgun.
Same band performed in both, and they're a synth-heavy outfit that really fits the 80s theme. Did you enjoy the mighty sound created by the film/game, and would you consider going that direction for future map or alternate soundtrack?
Well, I think we're not going to do, unless something big changes, we're not going to do music during the match.
Right.
And I think that with voice, you know, with people trying to communicate over voice, and with all the different things you have to listen to kind of know what's going on, if we play music, we're just stealing a lot of the presence from all the stuff you really want to hear, which is the explosions and the guns going off and I got hit or you got hit, and the score and all that stuff that's really important.
Right.
And I don't want to make it harder for people to know what's going on.
Z-Dog asks, can you make characters be able to say things, so basically talk?
I can make the characters talk, but so far the design decision is, and you can beat Walter up for that one.
Yeah,
since he's the only one who's left. You can. The design decision is that there's no. That they're not going to say anything. That the characters are just not going to speak. They're only going to say, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like their meat platforms for the weapons, because the game is initially. The initial design was the guys are just big dumb guys that carry weapons around.
Right.
That's changed a little bit, I think, as the game has progressed. But we've sort of kept that idea of they just sort of like they just make their grunts and their and all that stuff. I think it works okay. I mean, I can see that there could be taunt. I like the music taunts though, because it sort of breaks the whole thing up and it's really cool.
Yeah. I could see some like Arnold or Stallone like one-liners.
Yeah, I totally could see that too. You know,
Get
but
out.
part of our ultimate plan is that there'll be multiple voice packs, and then people can choose the voice, just like you choose a hat and pick what voice you want. So hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of different voices that people can eventually select. So you could be something that's really, you know, like what we have now, or it might be something that's really outrageous, or, you know, whatever, you know, the chipmunk voice, because everybody needs the chipmunk voice.
Pinder asks, are there any plans in place for customizable sounds, mainly on hit sounds?
Well, like I said before, the way our engine is put in, and the way everything is packaged and sent, we don't we can't really do that. There's not a way for the end user to add sounds to the game.
Right.
But like I said, for VO, we'll be able to have options and that kind of stuff. For hit sounds, probably not, because we're have a very delicate balance in between the fire sounds and the hit sounds, and knowing when you've hit somebody, knowing when you've been hit by somebody, and there's a huge audio element in all of that.
Right.
And so then if we start changing those, it becomes, then you don't know what you're listening for, and I think we're going to keep those kind of the way they are, because they work as an indicator element as well as just the sound.
We need
a keytar taunt. That's what we need. Keytar!
Who made Axel and T-Bone's voices?
I did one of them. The first one. I guess it would be Axel's voice. I'm not sure, or maybe it's T-Bone. I don't know what the defaults are now. I think maybe it's T-Bone's voice now. And then we got, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. I'd have to go look it up. The guy who did the other voice that's on there. What would be Axel's voice right now?
Okay.
And we're still messing around with different voices, and I know Helga will be.
Right.
And so I've got ideas. I have ideas for Helga.
Wait, is Helga's voice going to be a man or a woman?
It's going to be a man or a woman. What do you want it to be? It could be you.
I think it would be kind of funny to have a man's voice for Helga, but I don't know what the people want. But yeah, I think it would be funny either way.
Be like, hey,
yeah,
how you doing? The really bad, tired drag queen.
Yeah. How about making some sweet guitar riffs for stuff like capturing points, hammer, multi-kills, etc.?
Now, some of that we've done. Like, I know completing contracts, there's stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know about capturing points. There's not, because there's just the Amy just says you captured or whatever, right?
Yeah,
it's like
so.
it's all in the flag, the underwear, the
yeah,
going up. I guess it would be possible to put a thing in there.
Is there not one on capturing the hammer?
No,
You've captured the hammer. I think Amy just says. Yeah,
I think Amy just says you captured the hammer, and then I think in like Fissure, when you capture the hammer, then the drill turns on.
Yeah. So
you get all of that going on.
Right.
So, yeah, it would be possible. I could see where certain of those we're trying to put. Since there's not music in the game, then I can use music like that to really make things stick out. It's like when you complete a contract
or kill streak. Everyone
kill
hears
streak.
Yeah,
exactly. So something like we haven't really addressed kill streak yet. So that would be a really good way of doing that. Yeah, absolutely. Any excuse I have to pretend I'm Yinghui, I'm good.
What bands inspired Loadout's music?
Pretty much anything from the 80s with a keyboard.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode is in there, and Heather Valley, who was here, played in a band called Fluorescent Echo, and they're a big part of that. And but we also depends on the ones that she started tended to be more electronica stuff, and the ones that I started tended to be more guitar. Like there's one in there that is sort of a Link Ray thing, and there's one different sort of just styles and thematic things, and that we would then sort of fuse together. So
okay, someone said we need more dubstep. Not
sweet. You have a CD player. You put the CD in the CD player, and you say play. You can have all the dubstep you want.
FuryWeb asks, will there be more choice for voice announcers?
No.
No.
Well, not that I know of. There's no reason that we couldn't do that. But right now, there's not a plan to do that.
Okay. 2, will you be including more options for hit sounds, which we just
already
talked
about, yeah.
Can we have more electro-style 80s vibe music?
Oh, more just keyboard music rather than with, like, no guitar. Yeah, that's probably going to come. My expectation is that as long as you guys are playing this game, I'll be adding music to it all the time. So I can do that, absolutely.
Okay.
Tainted Love by Marilyn Manson. I guarantee you it's not that. But if it's the same style, then I'll take that.
Okay. That was from Baird. He said that there's a similarity between Tainted Love and one of our songs.
Like I said, there's only 12 notes. So.
Gimple, why do characters make the sounds that they do when standing in a healing or buffing nade puddle?
Oh, yeah, because the healing sound is like, and what's the buff sound? Oh, he goes, heh, heh, heh,
Yeah,
like, come
yeah.
get some, you know,
Right.
because he's getting all buffed up.
Right.
I needed a nonverbal way to indicate that was happening. And those are the sounds that I use. They seem to work pretty good. It's clear when you hear it. It's clear what it is, which
Yeah.
is such as some of that is. I did love making those noises. Absolutely. If you want to be my assistant, you'd let me know. Send me an email. We'll give you something to do.
Who was the voice actor for those sounds?
I was, well, for the original ones, and then, like I said, I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But yeah, he did a great job for the other ones.
Will you get options for different hit sound?
Yeah, kill sounds and kill sounds. And when you say that, I don't know if you mean the actual sound of the bullet hitting a person, or if you mean the indicator, the ding 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 ding, or whatever that bing bing indicator. Right. So I mean, like I said, it's possible, but right now there's no plan to do that.
Waller says, can you do an impersonation of Helga's voice?
No, because we don't have a Helga's voice yet. But maybe. I don't know, maybe.
Junglist,
how's this? You like that? Come on over here. Let me finish my cigarette and I'll come right over.
The real raspy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Jersey. Ugh. Junglist, how long did it take?
He said he did mean the hit indicator. Yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah, well, if you knew how much we went through to get the hit indicator that we have.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that one.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to compose the main UI song from Junglist?
The main UI, well, there's like 12 of them, so there's not really a main one. But you just mean like when you first like the one when you first start up.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different one. I mean, it's a randomly different tune. I don't think or is there one that starts? I know at one time we had one that always started.
I remember a guitar one.
Yeah, so it probably was. I don't remember which one that is now. I don't know. It's all a blur. How long did it take? Well,
how long does an average song take? That may answer.
Totally. I'd say probably a week.
Okay.
It's about a week worth of figuring out what it is and putting down your initial ideas, and then you sort of build the song as you arrange it, and going through multi-tracking and then mixing and mastering and stuff. Yeah, it's about a week.
Okay. How many instruments do you play, and which do you enjoy the most?
I play all of them. No, I play pretty much anything with strings.
Okay.
I can play. Not so good with the bow, but I know where the fingers are supposed to go. I was a bluegrass mandolin player for a long time.
Okay.
And I play guitar and bass and mandolin and a little banjo and some slide and stand-up bass and all of that. I'm not really a big keyboard player, which is actually sort of like bit me in the butt a few times in this gig because there's a lot of keyboard work I have to do. Right. So I've gotten a lot better at it just because I've had to. But I don't know. It's hard to say which I enjoy. The first instrument I ever played with people as a vocational instrument was the bass. And there's something about that I really like.
Okay.
Mostly I'm playing guitar these days. So like with Captains of the Chess Team, our nerd band in Austin and stuff like that. So, it depends. I really enjoyed playing the mandolin when I was doing that. But, arthritis and all that stuff. Getting old sucks.
How exactly was the splat sound when you kill someone created?
I could tell you that, but then I'd have to kill you. That's layers of. I don't even know what all is in there now. Like we all squished it into. I mean, we all made that one sound out of it, but
very distinct.
Yeah, well, that's what we were trying to do. So there's probably a chicken getting squished in there, and no watermelons. Well, no watermelons. Chickens do really good for that, though.
Do you need any free drum samples?
I always need free drum samples. Are you kidding?
Junglist
We'll
plays the
work for
drums.
food.
When and how did you get? We kind of answered
Yeah.
that. The audio engineering.
Yeah. Oh,
Will you give me a high five?
right
via
there,
the
buddy.
webcam?
Wait.
There,
Right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
There's Junglist.
Hit it.
There's
Hit
a
it.
high five. I think there's probably some more questions, but we can probably go back to. Conrad
Sure.
Black.
Is there anything on this side that I'm missing here? Let me see. I am a glockenspiel virtuoso, but I try to keep that to myself. Because, once you go Glock, you don't go back.
What type of sound synthesis do you use most in your work? This is from Conrad Black. Subtractive, additive, granular, FM?
Yeah. I read that, I laughed, because the answer is yes. All of the above. And I actually build synthesizers, software synthesizers myself, and I use many of the synths that I created for the stuff we're doing here. And let's see. Like for instance, the footsteps. I actually wrote and created a VST synthesizer called Footloose, which generates random footsteps. Specifically because I was so tired of the footsteps we have in our library, and they're too distinct and all that stuff. So that's a combination of additive and subtractive, the way that synth works. It basically starts with noise, and there's some FM stuff in there too, but it was just, I put it together just to be able to do that. But I also did a lot of the synth stuff in there is done with a synth I wrote for Heather, which is called Heather, and another one called Wax, and lots of. You'd be surprised at how many freeware synthesizers that we actually use all the time, because some of them are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are no good, but some of them are really, really good, and they're totally free. It's unbelievable. I think you could you could do a whole score of completely good, acceptable material, and using synthesizers that none of them cost you anything.
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
Here's an interesting question, and that this is just like we've only talked about it. Haven't really put in any well thought out discussion about it, but there's been some discussion about a concussive payload, and that it would be like air.
Right.
And the suggestion that it should be a sonic or music-based payload. Do you have any opinions or ideas about it?
I think it would be a good idea. If we do that, I think that would be a great idea. Yeah, it could be music-based. It kind of depends on what they wanted to do and how it's going to look. Is it going to be an explosion, or is it going to be something else? And yeah, I'm all for that. We used to have a thing that I think we took it out. It had a thing where if you got hit by like a grenade, but it didn't kill you, then it would put you in this state where your ears would ring for 2 seconds. Remember that?
Yeah,
You'd go bam, and it go.
I remember that.
And we ended up taking that out, but maybe something like that would work.
What's your DAW of choice?
Good. I go back and forth right now between Nuendo for some things and Reaper, because I have a lot of 32-bit stuff that I really like, 32-bit synths and things that I really like, and the cross, going between running 32-bit synths in a 64-bit app works a lot better in Reaper than it does in the other things. But for mastering and stuff, I tend to use Nuendo just because, especially the new one, because it just has this great channel strip, and it's got a lot of stuff in it that I really like that really helps. So I go back and forth. When I'm creating music, I tend to use Reaper until I have all my tracks done, and then I set out stems, and then I'll put them in. If I'm doing something to a movie, then I use Vegas. Vegas is really sort of the video, multi-track audio to video sort of solution that we use.
Okay. Do you make or fix electronics on a regular basis?
Yes, I do. I've created my own guitar pedals and in process of making a theremin, and yeah. Yes. Have soldering iron, will travel.
Do you make any music or audio recreationally?
Yeah, of course I do.
We live in Austin.
Yeah, no, not at all. Never get out. Yeah, I do. I'm in a band called Captains of the Chess Team. That's captainsofthechessteam.com if you want to go check it out. We call ourselves the best-ish band in Austin, and we do nerd rock and 80s tunes that would be that weird. You might call them. Sometimes you might call them novelty songs, but just fun stuff that has some. We used to do "Live to Win," the song from. Of course, nobody knows what it is when you say it, but it's the song from South Park when they did the sort of a 1,000 Truths.
Yep.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So yes, there it is. Thank you, whoever that you win. Yeah. And we'll be playing at WorldCon this year. So we're actually playing the World Science Fiction Convention.
Really?
In San Antonio in August. Isn't that amazing?
That is sweet.
Paul Stanley, yes. And you can quote me, it's one of the worst songs ever written. But it was great in that.
Is Loadout's engine capable of any meaningful DSP, such as FFT functions, compression, noise removals, etc.?
No. And mainly that's a limitation of we're using the Miles audio system for the low end for like on the hardware. And so right now we're sort of limited to what Miles will do. It's possible for us to write specific things, but when you start talking about FFT, you're talking about major processing hit. You got to be really careful with that because that can take a lot of processor. It's process intensive thing. Reverbs tend to be that way too. It's why you don't hear really high quality reverbs in games because they take a lot of processor power and causes lag and causes all kinds of things that you don't want. So the king. Hail to the king, baby.
Any chance of the audio assets for the purpose of remixing / fan music? Well, technically, could you do that right now through our media section? Because we could.
It would be possible to like break out stems or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd have to talk with Rob.
Well, getting files up on that's probably not a big deal. Okay. I just have to go back into all the projects and see if I can't output meaningful stems. It's possible. You know what? All I can do is take a look at it. So I'll look at it. Guitars, vacuum cubes, AD&D 3.5. Yeah, there you go. I don't know who you are, but we should be friends.
Cody. What is your favorite microphone?
What is my favorite microphone? Well, I'm gonna sidestep it a little bit and give you three because there's three microphones I've used in different situations that are the bomb.
Okay.
One's a Telefunken, and
Telefunken,
yeah. Okay. And they are these giant chrome. They're impressive to look at, and they're just an amazing microphone to process through. A Neumann U48, U84, whichever one the AI one is. Blue Snowball. Yeah, baby. I have the 8-ball actually. I really like and then the third one would be because I happen to have one. It's an RCA. I think it's a 7044.
Okay.
This is the classic. When you think of old, like Johnny Carson had one on his desk, looked like a big contact capsule, one of those big things. Yeah. It's a giant ribbon mic. See, for me, a ribbon mic is the best, just because I really like the qualities that it has. Like a Royer 121 would be another really, really good mic.
Okay.
And that RCA mic is like from the 50s that I have, and it is.
The sounds on some of those mics from back then are just awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're
Especially
really
you get the original
Yeah.
Neumanns and those things are just it's hard to even, and they've remade them, and there's Russian versions of them, and there's all different people try to make them like that, and they just don't sound like that.
Yeah.
Blue's done a good job of, Blue has a nice range of microphones that sound really good, and I've actually used I think they're called MXR, which are a low cost microphone, probably made in China, but they're well done. They're well put together. They're solid and they sound good. So,
I'm gonna see if there's any more questions.
anything
here.
else? I'm looking over here. Scott, at anyone. I've heard a laugh in game. I have no idea where it comes from. It sounds like this below. You heard a laugh in the game.
Lord,
Is that the wah-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo? Trolls moan? Is that what you're talking about?
Lord Tempest, will there be farts?
I put farts in, and Ian made me take them out.
Okay, so
So
there was
Walter
farts
nerfed them
on the
on the jump, on the super jump. Like
Yeah.
when you did a big, like if you succeeded in getting the super jump, the boost jump,
Yeah, it
and there was a like the fart was projecting you through the air, and then they just looked at me funny with their like this, like. And Ian said, "Well, we were just waiting for you to take that out," and I'm like, "You just got to tell me what to do, man." I know Ian is gone,
Oh man.
but it was kind of goofy. But I mean, if you're playing this game and you're complaining about goofy, yeah. You check your meds because something's not right.
Did you create all the sound effects?
For the most part, yes. Yeah, it's essentially yes. Heather did a bunch of the UI stuff
Okay.
based on what I had already done, but then she did it. So yeah, this has been my project since the beginning. I got the audio engine to work the day one. So no, it's the juice. Can't you tell?
It's just juice. And then when we see any future dialogue, we kind of touched on that. So those are kind of some rehash questions.
Yeah, I'm looking up
looking
through
at
here.
the chat.
Yeah,
Maybe we can play another-
let's see, favorite headphone. Oh, favorite headphones. Oh, that's a good question. First of all, headphones. Headphones are an incredibly personal thing that audio guys fight about all the time, because what sounds good to one person may not sound good to another person, and then part of it is what you get used to. I mean, if you
Yeah.
use something for a long time. Now, the guy who taught me, the late great John Shainoff, used to say, and I still say this because I think it's true: you can pay more, but you can't get better. And I use the Sony MDR 7506s. And yeah, there are a bunch of other headphones that a lot of people will say are way better, and the Sennheisers, and everybody has a point. But for me, I've done, project mastering on them, and I've done everything on them, and to me, they cost like $99.
Wow.
But they are really, really good flat headphones. So that one's easy. MDR 7506.
There you go.
You can buy them yourself. Tell them I sent you.
All right.
The dude. Yeah. Well,
So Walrus says Loadout Blues. If you could,
The Loadout Blues.
yeah. If you wanna play a blues themed Loadout song to end out, since we have to end.
Oh, all good things come to. Well, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Come up with some more questions.
We'll
I'll come
Scott
back.
on. If you guys have some more
You guys
questions.
are awesome. You didn't want me to sing, did you?
We have to go. It's the end of the show.
my friend Arctic. We're talking to y'all about all kinds of stuff. Talking about Loadout, I'm singing the Loadout blues. I'm gonna frag you, baby, in the Loadout blues. Go to the workshop and make myself a gun. It'll be really big, bigger than your son. I'm gonna shoot bullets right up in the air, and then I'll be floating high. I won't even care. Doing the Loadout, doing the Loadout blues.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
See you guys later.